Let me show you why discounting just doesn't scale your brand and how to instead build a cold ready offer that can actually get you to 500 or even $1 million per month. So, who is this document for in general? You are currently spending real money on paid traffic, the ads are working, people are clicking, but the only lever that seems to more move conversions is discounting. And that is something that lots of brands are falling into, and it's just falling into a trap that is pretty hard to get out of. And I will try to explain everything in this video. So yeah, every time you discount, you squeeze the margin that was supposed to justify the spend in the first place. That's the biggest issue. The discount that you're doing is actually coming out of your margins. And that is something that you need to be wary of. So you've been told the offer is the most important thing. Nobody told you how to build one that works on cold traffic. That is extremely important because offers for cold traffic and warm traffic are completely two different things. And yeah, without destroying your brand economics. Let's go. So discounts feel like scaling, but why that is not true. So when conversions drop or your ROAS flat softens, you usually tend to discount. And lots of people do. So that can be 10% off, free shipping, or you just run a flash sale. And that is something that is actually going to work immediately. The numbers will recover, and you can actually scale the spend back up. And the issue is the discount becomes the baseline. Then you cannot remove it without watching your CVR fall. And for me, the biggest issue, your email list or like customers in general train themselves to wait for the sales or like for the discounts. And every new customer you acquire at a discounted price has a lower LTV ceiling than any customer who paid full price because they believed in the value, which is exactly the difference that you're going to get into in the next section between customers who are willing to pay the full price because they believe the product, they believe the value, and the customers that are just being sold onto thanks to the price. Discounting is a conversion band-aid applied to a positioning problem. Yeah, it works because it reduces perceived risk without requiring you to actually increase perceived value. Perceived risk is the probably biggest thing that every customer that is considering buying from you like worrying about. Yeah, they have a risk. They are about to pay their money to you without any like reason or like without any proof that the product is actually going to work and it's actually going to help them, or depends of course on what you're selling. And the perceived value is something that you should absolutely maximize inside your offer so that the money that they are spending seem like a complete bargain for them. Like they would be completely stupid to not purchase it at this price. So that's the critical distinction, and it's core of everything in this document. Why discounting doesn't solve the cold traffic problem? As I said, cold traffic doesn't convert badly because your price is too high. There isn't a thing like that is too high. That doesn't exist. There's no price that is way too high for anyone to purchase. Like, it's always about the perceived value. For example, if I were to tell you that I will sell you a Lamborghini for $1,000, or actually, let me rephrase. Let's say you have $500 in your bank account right now, and I tell you that for $1,000 I will sell you my Bugatti or Lamborghini or whatever. But you don't have those $500. You're missing $500 to actually purchase that. But I'm pretty sure you're going to do whatever it takes to get those $500 because then it's an insane bargain for you to buy a Lamborghini or whatever car at $1,000. And I know this is an extreme example, but very similar principle can be applied to your brand. So that's why I'm saying that there is nothing like a price that is way too high. It's always about the perceived value of the purchase. The reason that the cold traffic is actually scaling badly is because the customer, or like the person that just saw your ad, had no idea you existed. I wouldn't even say 45 minutes ago, I would say like 10 minutes ago. And they got no context for your product, they got absolutely zero trust in your brand, and they have no reason to believe your claims that you're saying on your site, on your ads. And right now the friction isn't price, it's risk and the uncertainty that the customer or the person has to go through. They have the risk and the uncertainty that the product is going to work, if it's going to even arrive at their address when they purchase. How do they know that you're not scamming them? So when you discount to solve that, here's what actually happens. You will lower the price without addressing the underlying trust gap. So that's what I said in the first part. So you're basically just buying the customers based on your price and not about your with your value. You attract buyers who are price motivated, not value motivated. Basically, what I just said. That means lower LTV and higher return rates because, I mean, I think you understand this, yeah? They don't see the value that much as the price. The price is always the most important thing for them. And those are not customers you ideally want. Of course, you're going to always get those, but it shouldn't be the primary one you're looking for. You establish a price anchor that it's hard to walk back. Yeah, that's what I said with what I meant with that the customers or the people purchasing your product are going to be waiting for the sales, for the discounts. Yeah, once they see that you run a sales campaign every 2 weeks, they got no reason to purchase in the meantime when you don't have any discounts up, because they know there is going to be one in like a week or two. So that means you get into like a roller coaster where you cannot get out of, because once you stop doing those sales, you're not going to get many customers or many purchases. And yeah, it's pretty hard to get away from that. And you compress the margin on every customer you acquire through the paid traffic, exactly the customers who are most expensive to acquire, because paid traffic is probably always the most expensive channel. And very quick math example, if you're spending $80 to acquire a customer on a $120 product at full margin, you have room to work with. But if you put that on product on 20% off and you're still acquiring them at $80 to generate $96 in revenue, then if you account for COGS, fulfillment, and any other overhead, you might be acquiring customers at a loss, but more efficiently, of course. Yeah, so more volume at loss is just not scaling. It's accelerating a structural problem. The real lever, perceived value versus perceived risk. So every buying decision is a mental equation. So perceived value, what did I do? Perceived value minus perceived risk equals buying motivation. So when that number is strongly positive, people will buy. So when perceived value is much higher than the perceived risk, people are going to purchase. When it's close to zero or negative, they don't, regardless of the price. Like you can, if there's no perceived value in your product and the perceived risk is way too high, but you got low prices, you're still going to be losing out on lots of customers. That's why discounting works by reducing the denominator. Perceived risk feels lower at a lower price, that makes sense. But there's a ceiling on how much you can reduce price before you destroy your margins entirely, and you're just going to be not even net positive on purchases. You're going to be straight up at a loss. So just basically burning money. Of course, you can make the argument about retention, and I think it's a valid argument for sure. However, not every single brand has a strong retention, and it still takes a lot of effort and money to have the strong retention, to work with people, interact with them, use email marketing and other channels to do that. And that's why I said it's a decent argument. I understand it, and I think it does make sense to mention it. However, in this video, we're strictly focusing on the acquisition and not really questioning the retention right now. Increasing perceived value has no ceiling, so you can stack value, frame outcomes, add bonuses, clarify mechanisms, and reverse risk, all without touching your base price. Actually, you can even put it above. You can like increase your prices. And each of those levers compound with the others. This is what call ready offer are built on. Not cheaper, but more obviously worth it. So the cold ready offer framework. Cold traffic requires a different offer architecture than warm traffic. That makes sense. You need to you cannot say that the same offer will work for warm and cold traffic. They are fundamentally different. One is a bunch of people that didn't know you existed 10 minutes ago, and one is are people who probably already bought from you, or like are following you on social media or your brand in general. Warm buyers already have context, they've seen you before, they've been retargeted, they search for you, but cold buyers have none of that. Cold ready offer doesn't just present the product, it builds the case for the product. It removes the reasons not to buy and makes the decision feel low risk and high upside. That's one of the most important things. All before asking for the sale. So 5 components, every one matters. Let's go through them. First, clear outcome promise. So most D2C brands lead with what the product is and not really what the product like actually does. And cold traffic needs to know what it does. Yeah, specifically for someone like them in their situation. So the more you can specify it for the customer, if you know very well your ICP, or you can have actually multiple landing pages that are going to speak to a little bit different ICP, for the better. Like the more specific you can be, the better, because the customer actually is going to understand that, or like the customer is going to like get the memo that you understand them, you really know their issue, you know the problems. And once you show that you really deeply understand the customer's problems and know how to name them, know how to describe them, you're gaining massive bonus points in their decisions. Like there's no better thing than to actually properly describe and name the problems the customer has. The difference, product-led, high absorbing magnesium glycinide, 40 milligrams per serving. Yeah, cool. I mean, doesn't make me like reach for my credit card at all, unless I know the product. I've bought it, for example, or I know what it actually does. Then yeah, sure, it's okay. But if it's outcome led first, fall asleep faster, wake up without groggy feeling, cool, this is something that I actually want. In the first week, or your money back. Damn. So in the first week, there's some time frame that I'm actually going to achieve those good things. And if I don't, I get my money back. That's risk reversal. So this is a perfect offer that there's no reason for me to not buy it right now, because the risk is removed by your money back statement. So if I'm not satisfied, I will just get my money back. Of course, this on the page would need to be probably explained a little more. So how exactly does the risk reversal works? However, this is completely removing the risk. And it doesn't mean that immediately all of a sudden everyone is going to purchase your product. Like, it doesn't work like that. But this extremely helps you to get more sales. And I think that if you are confident in your product and you know that it's working, it's a good product, it's not bad, then just straight up giving a risk reversal is always going to make you more money than you will lose on like returns. Because I've seen multiple brands where like there's less than 0.5% of orders returned. And unfortunately, we cannot like calculate how many orders we got thanks to the risk reversal, but I'm always certain that it's going to be much more than the amount of refunded orders, or like the money back orders, like when someone asked. The outcome promise answers the buyer's actual question. What does my life look like after I buy this? Yeah. So though this is this part, fall asleep faster and wake up without groggy feeling. It needs to be very specific, and not wake. So better sleep is kind of vague. Asleep within 30 minutes is even better, is very specific. So this could be actually even improved. Like, it's a very good start, and I would probably already take this messaging and test it out. I wouldn't like obsess about the last 10 to 20% of making it really the best one possible. But yeah, always you can always do better. You can always test different messaging, but always remember A/B test it. It is credible, not hyperbolic. Overclaiming destroys trust on cold traffic. Yeah, people are just bored of hearing fall asleep in 2 minutes every single day forever. You know, like overpromising doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't help you anymore. It used to work in like COVID era maybe, but right now people are bored of this. People don't want to hear all those fancy fabricated stories because they know it's fake. They know it's bullshit. And it's tied to a time frame where possible. It makes the promise feel real and testable. Yeah. The outcome promise is not a tagline. It's a frame through which everything else on the page gets interpreted. Yeah. Two, mechanism differentiator. So cold traffic buyers are skeptical because they've bought things like yours before, usually, and they have been disappointed. That's why they are looking for a different product, obviously. So generic claims confirm that skepticism. Mechanism differentiation dismantles it. The mechanism is why your product works. So like very, very specifically, what makes you different from everything else on the market, every other product? What's the reason yours is going to magically finally work that the other doesn't have? This does not require a proprietary formula or patented technology. It requires clarity. Yeah, you don't need like flashy science things. You need to explain it in a really simple way that everybody is going to understand and they are going to trust it. So, not made with natural ingredients, but formulated without the fillers that block absorption in most supplements. This is also something that you need to be careful about. If you choose a mechanism differentiator that everybody else is using, it's not a differentiator. You're still same as any other brand out there in your competitors. Not premium materials, the only product built around X structural principle that others brands skip to cut costs. Yeah, cool. So that's just some examples. Mechanism differentiator does three things at once. It increases perceived value because you're different than the others, like you have something more, so the value is bigger. It makes your product harder to comparison shop. Obviously, again, same principle. You have something else something that everyone else doesn't. And it gives the buyer a rational justification for a decision they may have already made emotionally. Value stacking, my favorite one actually. So value stacking is the deliberate construction of an offer that feels like more than what you're asking for. Yeah, I absolutely love doing this. The keyword is feels, yeah, because the perceived value is just an emotion. It like you feel that it is a bargain for you. This is not about adding low quality bonuses to inflate perceived value artificially. That's a tactic that worked in 2014 and now still signals a scam. Instead, it's about surfacing the value that already exists and sequencing it in a way that makes the decision feel like an obvious trade. So, how to value stack without cheapening the brand? First, bundle logically. You can add products that make the core product work better or faster. Frame the bundle around the outcome, not the components. So, for example, the complete sleep system, that is a bundle of like magnesium, sleep mask, herbal tea, and those are just free products. And what this does is that you basically remove yourself from like selling magnesium, but you're selling the whole package, you're selling the system, you're selling the whole thing that is actually going to help them. And promoting it like this in the bundle can actually help you boost your AOV, because once you have two options, like either you can, or like let's say baseline is you're selling magnesium for, I don't know, $30, and now you have two options. You can either do this whole system, so magnesium, sleep mask, and herbal tea, for still the $30, and your perceived value is absolutely through the roof because you're still selling $30 product plus to another that are basically for free. And this will always depend on your math. You need to always calculate if you're going to be profitable or not, and how much money this is actually costing you to like add in. Or the second option, you can actually improve your AOV by setting the price at like, let's say $45. So instead of selling magnesium for only 30, you are now selling the whole system for 40 or 45, and your AOV is going up. This option lowers your perceived value by just a tiny bit because, of course, you're increasing the price. But if you create the bundle in a way where it still makes sense, it's a pretty good strategy. Quantify the value of each component. So if customers can buy item A for X amount of dollars and item B for a Y amount of dollars separately, show that, let them do the math and feel like they're winning. This pretty much connects to the bundles. Like exactly, if you're selling magnesium for $30, sleep mask for 10, and herbal tea for 10, and you're selling that all together for 40, it feels like they're saving money without any discounts, like real discounts. You're not discounting the product, you're just discounting the whole bundle, and it makes sense because the AOV is higher, but your cost of acquisition stays the same. So you actually get more margins out of that. Add content or guidance that increases success rate. That could be a PDF protocol, a 30-day plan, access to a private community. There's a lot of digital stuff that you can give out with the order, and they cost you basically nothing to produce and create, and they will always meaningfully increase the perceived value of the purchase and the customer's likelihood of success, which also drives your LTV and is incredibly important. Offer size or quantity options that reward commitment. So a 3-month supply at better per unit economics than a 1-month supply is a value stacking as well. It again increases your AOV, improves your CAC payback, and gives the customer a rational reason to choose the higher price option. So this is pretty normal stuff. I think that everybody watching this video is very much aware of this. But the more you buy, the more you save, basically. Like buying, as said here, for 3-month supply is always going to be better on a per unit economics. So like instead of $1 per pill or day, let's say, they are just paying like 80 cents, then it makes much more sense for the customer to purchase. The test for a value stack: would your customer feel like they got a good deal even if they paid slightly more? If yes, then you've built it correctly. That's what I'm saying the whole time. It has to be a really good deal, even if they paid slightly more. That's the perceived value. Obviously, risk reversal. Cold traffic buyers aren't just buying a product; they are deciding whether to trust your brand. They have probably never interacted with you. So that's why risk reversal is how you price that trust correctly. Standard money back guarantee is table stakes. It does not differentiate your offer. It just removes the one specific objection. Risk reversals that actually moves cold traffic. Let's go into the examples. So specificity, 60 days money back guarantee. That is a policy, but if you frame it as if you don't see X result within 30 days or like 60, depends, we'll refund you in full unless you keep the product. That is a confidence statement. You're so confident in your product that you can say this, that you can do this. Reframing the guarantee as a belief. The guarantee should communicate that you're so confident in the outcome that the risk is entirely yours to hold. That's what I just said. I'm always like faster than the document in what I'm saying. That's a fundamentally different psychological message than we have a written policy. Addressing the specific fear. For high-ticket products, which are more expensive, it doesn't fit or not what I expected are the real fears, not doesn't work. Name the fear and reverse it directly. And also social proof as a risk reversal. A real refund rate, statistics, a repeat purchase percentage, or satisfaction rate are among the most powerful risk reversal available. So dig into your own data, check how many people are actually refunding the product right now, and you can use this information or this statistic to display it on your product page or like any other page that you're using. And what it's actually going to do, of course, there's always going to be some skepticism towards it from the customer side that it's a fake number. And I think there's probably not a way around it, or maybe not even I have seen a brand like go around it. But it's still giving customers like some idea of how the product is actually good or not. One thing to avoid, risk reversal that creates anxiety about complexity. A guarantee with well conditions, asterisks, and paragraphs of fine print signals that the brand expects disputes. Keep it simple. Simple guarantees cause more sales. Yeah. If you cannot explain your risk reversal policy in like 1 or 2 sentences, it's way too complicated and it won't work. Just because, as just said, once you put in so many like technicalities, so many conditions, people are just going to smell bullshit from a mile away, and they are not going to purchase anyone. And like they have no reason to purchase, because it feels like you're trying to basically scam them, because you're promising that you're going to return the money, but with all the conditions, they're going to like put in some legal team that is going to dispute, not going to return the money. Urgency, my second favorite probably, that doesn't destroy your brand equity. Urgency works. False urgency destroys the trust the moment it's detected, and cold traffic detects it quickly. So either don't fake it or fake it very, very well. But I probably like recommend not faking it. It doesn't usually make sense, and as said, people are just going to smell that. The test is simple. Is the urgency real? Does it have an operational reason a buyer would believe? Urgency that will hold up. Inventory based always works. It's one of the most simplest one. X unit left at this price. Only if you actually have limited inventory. I don't think this needs any more explanation. Offer based. This bundle includes bonus through specific dates, only if you generally plan to change the offer. And subscription based. Look in this price before our next pricing update. It's always an urgency, because this usually stops people from hesitating about the purchase, because they're not going to want to like lose out on the offer or anything else. What doesn't hold up? Code down timers that reset when you refresh the page. This is the most obvious one that is still being used on so many pages, and I hate it so much. I mean, it's like some standard that was like set in for multiple years now, but it's just not working. Everybody sees through that, and only use countdown timers when it's to a set time or date. So like when you know that the offer is ending in 24 hours or like at midnight, you can create a countdown that is going to show a timer until the midnight, and that is going to work pretty well actually. We have tested this for multiple brands, and it has always worked incredibly well. Limited time offer with no defined end. I mean, very similar to the first one. Like, if you have a limited time offer that is always available, like, is it actually limited? Yeah. Fake scarcity on digital products. I don't think that needs any explanation. The brands that have used fake urgency for years have trained buyers to ignore it entirely. Yeah, it's not just going to work, it's wasted effort anymore. On cold traffic, where you're building first impressions, false urgency doesn't just fail, it actively damages the conversion by confirming the skepticism that cold buyers already have. If you don't have real urgency, don't manufacture it, focus on the value instead. Much better advice. AOVs or scaling lever, the math. So this is something that I already talked about, so I'm going to try to go through this very, very briefly. This is where the offer design connects directly to scaling capacity. Most founders think about offer improvement in terms of conversion rates, but AOV is at least as important and often more controllable. So every dollar you add to average order value without adding to acquisition cost directly reduces your effective CPA and increases the margin you have available to fund even more spend. So the numbers. If you're right now spending $200,000 in ad spend and you're getting, let's say, $2,000 per month, your current AOV is $80, then your effective CPA is $100. But if you improve your AOV to, let's say, $105 by introducing the offer size quantity options or bundles, and then your effective CPA is on the same spend still $100, but instead of generating $160,000, you're generating $210K. So your margin improvement funds additional spend without external capital. So right now you can have $50,000 more in ad spend, which means you can scale much higher right now with this. More importantly, a higher AOV raises your allowable CPA, the maximum you can spend to acquire a customer and still be profitable. That is also another part that makes sense. A brand with an $80 AOV and a 50% contribution margin has a $40 allowance CPA before breaking even. A brand that has $120 AOV and the same margin has a $60 allowable CPA. That $20 difference in allowable CPA is the difference between being able to bid competitively for cold traffic audiences and being priced out of them. AOV expansion through offer design. So what you can actually do to improve it. Pre-checkout bundle framing, that is something we already said. This is also most popular, like tags. That's something we also tested for multiple brands and it's always been working. Just by showing which product is the most popular one, and it's usually not the cheapest one, helps the decision of the customer and boosts your AOV. Yeah, none of these require discounting. All of them increase the revenue per transaction, and therefore you can spend, and the spend you can sustainably deploy. So let me just recap what we just went through. So tying it back to the $300,000 ceiling, the brands stuck at $300K per month have a predictable profile. They have strong creative operation, heavy reliance on targeting and warm audiences, conversion rate and ROAS that look acceptable on a blended basis, but shareable when you isolate cold traffic, and they are discounting as the primary conversion lever under pressure. The brands, on the other hand, that break through have a different profile. They offer their offer architecture that converts cold traffic without discounts. AOV built deliberately, not as an afterthought. Creative that drives clicks into a funnel that closes the sale, and a low-level CPA that gives them room to bid aggressively on cold audiences. So this is something that you want to get into, and that is going to incredibly help you on your way to, let's say, $1 million per month. The ceiling is not a creative problem, it's an offer and a funnel problem. Discounting is the most expensive way to ignore that because it gives you short-term conversion data that looks like progress while the structural problem compounds underneath. That's why building a cold-ready offer is the work. It's not glamorous, it doesn't have the feedback loop of a new winning creative, I know, but this thing compounds across every single campaign, every single audience, and every dollar you are going to spend. So if you're doing between $250 and $1 million per month and you're on paid traffic and you're feeling the margin pressure, the first question you should ask is, what is your cold traffic actually seeing, and is your offer architecture designed for them? That's why we offer a focused audit of your current offer, of your funnel, and your conversion rate split between cold and warm traffic. We will show you exactly where the value equation is breaking down and what to build first. But we work with a small number of brands at a time, so if scaling profitably on cold traffic is the problem and the priority for this year right now, this is the conversation to have with me. So book the call. I leave this link in the description or in the anywhere near this video you're seeing it. It's a absolutely no strings attached call where we are just going to discuss what we can improve or what you can improve. More, that's better even to say what you can improve, and there's no strings attached. If you don't want to work with us, it's absolutely fine. On this call, I'm never going to try to sell you anything. This is just a discovery call where I will show you some improvements that you can implement. Nothing else. Hey, thank you and see you in the next video. See ya.